15 years ago, I carved a dirt road through my Texas ranch with my own hands, a winding artery of gravel and sweat that carried me through every season. It wasn't just a path, it was my pride, my history, my peace. For over a decade, it stayed untouched, a quiet stretch from the highway to my barn. Then Claire Phillips arrived. Last year, the Whispering Pines HOA sprouted across the creek, a cookie-cutter suburb of beige boxes pretending to be luxury. No pines in sight, but that didn't stop Claire, the self-appointed queen of the neighborhood, from acting like she ruled the county. At first, I ignored the distant hum of their golf carts and the occasional car straying near my fence. But one morning, I found fresh tire tracks slicing through my road, ending at the HOA's back gate. A one-off, I figured, some lost newcomer. I chuckled and let it go. Then it kept happening. Every morning, 7:30 sharp, a white SUV with an HOA logo roared across my land, kicking up dust and spooking my cattle. Behind the wheel was Claire, waving smugly through tinted windows, her radio blaring pop anthems. I stood there, feed bucket in hand, jaw slack, watching her treat my road like her personal shortcut. It wasn't ignorance, it was arrogance. I tried reasoning. I planted a sign, private road, no trespassing, bold and unmissable. The next day, it was gone, snapped in half and tossed behind my hay bales like a taunt. That's when I knew Claire wasn't just passing through, she was claiming what wasn't hers. A week later, I caught her in the act, parked my truck across the road, and waved her down. She rolled her window halfway, flashing a politician's smile. "Morning, Mr. Rogers. Everything okay?" "Not really," I said. "This is private property. Stop using my road." She tilted her head like I'd spoken nonsense. "Oh, come on. We're neighbors. What's a little dirt between friends?" I was speechless. Neighbors? Friends? I managed. "This isn't a shortcut, ma'am. It's a working ranch road." She smirked. "I'll see what the board says." Then she peeled out, dust stinging my face. The board was her HOA council, a clique of retirees with clipboards and too much time. Soon, they were creeping along my fence, measuring, whispering, plotting like they were staging a coup. One day, I came home to find Claire and 3 HOA members on my land, sipping iced lattes and holding a community vote to declare my road a shared easement. I laughed, thinking it was a joke, until I saw their signatures and letterhead. That night, a letter arrived in my mailbox, printed in Comic Sans with a smiley face. The HOA had voted to take my road, and resistance was non-compliance. That was the moment I stopped playing nice. Claire didn't just want a shortcut, she wanted control. And I wasn't about to let her redraw my life with a clipboard and a smug wave. I called my friend Derek Miller, a backhoe-owning troublemaker with a grin sharper than his shovel. "You ever teach karma how to dig?" I asked. His laugh crackled through the line. "Tell me when and how deep." The seed was planted. If Claire wanted my road, she'd get a lesson she'd never forget. 2 days after Claire's Comic Sans decree, I woke to voices on my land, dozens of them. I walked to the creek and saw a circus, folding chairs, balloons, and Claire in a pink blazer, megaphone in hand, hosting a community access vote on my property. A banner read, "Making progress together." She spotted me and chirped, "Morning, Brandon. We're finalizing the shared road plan. Community harmony, you know." I stared, half laughing, half fuming. "You're on private land, Claire. You can't vote to take my road." She smiled like I was a child. The HOA charter allows recommendations for community needs. It's just a formality. Formality. She was staging a land grab with coffee cups and clipboards. I told her to clear out or I'd call the sheriff. She leaned in, voice soft but venomous. "You'll regret not cooperating." That night, another letter arrived, laminated this time, citing fake ordinances and demanding I surrender my road or face fines. I crumpled it, then saved it, evidence of her madness. The HOA escalated, patrol cars lingered by my fence, drones buzzed too close, and a jogger with a GoPro filmed my gate. They were watching, waiting, pushing. But I was done bending. Derek arrived at dawn, backhoe in tow, coffee thermos in hand. "Where's the lesson, Brandon?" he asked, grinning. We scouted the road, picking a spot after a blind bend where Claire always floored it. "Here," I said. "Deep enough for reflection." Derek chuckled. "Philosophical trench, my specialty." We spent the day digging, the backhoe roaring like a beast unleashed. By sundown, we had a 3-foot wide, 4-foot deep trench, covered with plywood, dirt, and twigs to blend with the road. It was invisible, a trap for entitlement. We hid trail cameras in the brush for good measure, then leaned on the backhoe, beers in hand, admiring our work. Consequences of entitlement, I called it. Derek nearly spat his drink laughing. The next morning, we set up lawn chairs behind hay bales, coffee and donuts ready, cameras rolling. At 7:32, Claire's SUV crested the hill, bass thumping, her voice shouting affirmations over a podcast. She hit the bend at 30 miles per hour, tires rolling over the plywood. Then, crack. The wood splintered, and her SUV nosedived into the trench, back tires lifting before slamming down. Dust and airbag powder exploded. Claire's scream pierced the air, a mix of shock and denial. She stumbled out, clutching her phone, latte splattered across her yoga mat. "Sabotage!" she wailed, tripping into the mud. Derek wheezed with laughter. I bit my lip to stay quiet. Claire called the sheriff, pacing like a caged animal. Sheriff Cole Matthews arrived, surveyed the scene, and sighed. "Mr. Rogers, explain." "Soil erosion project, Sheriff," I said, handing him my laminated property map. "This is my land. She's been trespassing for months," Claire shrieked. "It's a public road." Cole studied the map, then shook his head. "Ma'am, this ain't yours. You drove into a work site on private property." Claire's face turned purple. "This is criminal." Cole shrugged. "Call a tow truck." As he left, Claire's SUV sank deeper, mud claiming her pink blazer. Derek whispered, "Think she'll learn." I watched her scream into her phone. "It's a start." Claire didn't quit, she doubled down. A glossy HOA letter arrived, citing environmental violations, and fining me $100 a day for the trench. Then her cousin, Doug Phillips, HOA legal counsel, served me a cease and desist order scribbled like a middle school essay. I handed it back, noting he wasn't even a lawyer. "Night classes don't count, Doug," I said. He scraped his Prius leaving, and Derek laughed until he cried. I wasn't waiting for Claire's next move. I drove to the county clerk's office, digging through dusty files until I found a 1976 easement agreement. It barred Whispering Pines from using my road, requiring their own access. Laminated and notarized, it was my trump card. I delivered a copy to Claire at her mailbox. "Your shared access dream's been dead for 50 years, I said. She tried to crumple it, but the plastic held firm. Her silence was sweeter than any apology. I hired Mara Pritchard, a razor-sharp local lawyer, who filed a civil suit for trespassing, harassment, and property damage. Days later, a deputy served Claire in her front yard. She froze, shears in hand, as he announced the lawsuit. "Have a blessed day," he added, tipping his hat. Claire's scream scattered birds. The courtroom was packed, locals treating Rogers versus Phillips like free theater. Judge Holloway, a grizzled veteran, eyed Claire's beige power suit and Doug's teetering folder stack. Mara presented the easement, photos of broken signs, and trail cam footage of Claire's SUV crashing. The room roared with laughter. Claire claimed illegal surveillance. Holloway shut her down. "Private property, ma'am." "Legal." Doug's cross-examination was a disaster, asking if I enjoyed digging holes. Holloway deadpanned, "Is owning a shovel criminal intent?" Claire unraveled, accusing me of wiretapping and psychological warfare through landscaping. The judge cut her off, ruling in my favor. Claire and the HOA owed damages, an apology, and were banned from my land. Claire was ousted as HOA president, barred from office for a decade. She stormed out, tripping over her purse, to courtroom cheers. TrenchGate went viral, the footage hitting 10 million views with captions like, HOA Karen meets justice. Claire fled to Florida, only to be booted from another HOA for excessive emails. Doug advertised HOA legal consulting, pending certification, earning Mara's laughing emoji. The new HOA president, Harold, apologized and built their own road, far from my fence. Months later, my ranch was quiet again. The trench, now a pond with wildflowers and ducks, was dubbed Karen's Canyon on Google Maps. Tourists snapped photos. Derek suggested a gift shop. I planted a new sign, private property, trespassers will be trenched. Half joke, half truth. Sitting on my porch with Derek, Boomer at our feet, I watched the sunset gild the hills. Ever miss the chaos? He asked. Not for a second, I said. Peace doesn't go viral, but it feels better than any meme. Claire dug her own hole with every trespass and smiley face. I just gave her a place to land. Some fights aren't about revenge, they're about drawing a line and holding it, steady as the earth itself. Comments prompt. Have you ever faced a Claire Phillips, someone who ignored your boundaries? How'd you handle it? Drop your story, city, and local time below, and subscribe for more tales of standing ground.